Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 712th edition of the Feuerstein's Fire American Soccer Show. I'm your host, Daniel Feuerstein. I'll give you the American perspective, our clubs, leagues, players, national team, and other fabulous moments. Get your daily reading from me and other writers over at Beyond the 90, at beyondthe90.substack.com, and locally at New York Sports over at baddogsports.com. The chat room on YouTube is open. Come on in, discuss amongst yourselves if you like. If you have a question for me, I'll try to answer to the best of my ability. And as always, please subscribe here on YouTube for your daily American soccer content. We are in a World Cup year, ladies and gentlemen, and very, very soon the month of January will be finished and the month of February will begin. And then it will be about, I believe, February, March, April, May, 5 months, almost 5 months until the greatest footballing party on the planet, the greatest soccer tournament on the planet, will be on our shores, along with our neighbors to the north in Canada and our neighbors to the south in Mexico, will be underway, going into a brand new era of World Cup tournaments, as, of course, it doubled from 32 to 48. So this is going to be exciting. And I cannot wait till we get to those World Cup shows. Now, once again, just to let everyone know, the Feuerstein's Fire American Soccer Show will have post-match shows for each and every day of the FIFA World Cup, regardless of what happens to the U.S. men's national team, the Mexican men's national team, and Canada's men's national team. We will go from the start, day one, all the way till the final, which will be held at the Meadowlands in East Rutherford, New Jersey, at MetLife Stadium, or as they like to call it, the New York, New Jersey Stadium. Now, there has been chatter going on social media about this World Cup being hosted here. And of course, we all know what's going on in Minnesota. Now, look, as always, I don't want to mix politics with sports. I really don't. I think it's a waste of time. I don't want to use this platform for political beliefs because all I want to talk about is soccer, football. That's all I want to talk about. I really don't want to talk about what's been going on in Minnesota. That's for another type of podcast, which is what I don't want to be a part of. I just want to talk about sports, and that's it. Nothing more, nothing less. But when you have people going on social media talking about this World Cup should be boycotted, or there are made-up articles about, they've had 14,000, 18,000, maybe even 20,000 people sending their tickets back to FIFA, not wanting to come over here for the World Cup. I find that a bit laughable. But look, to each their own. I'm going to do my best not to judge the situation. But this is a World Cup. This is what all of these players who are selected for their respective national teams are trying to do to put themselves in a position. And for those of you that either your nation has qualified for the World Cup, or maybe you're coming over on vacation, but your nation hasn't qualified for a World Cup, but yet you want to watch a World Cup match in front of you. I think, in my opinion, you don't, whatever's going on, look, I don't like what's going on either, but I think you should still come over because this is still going to be the greatest thing ever. Now, once again, there will be matches in Canada. There will be matches in Mexico, not just the U.S. So go to Canada or go to Mexico, but look, come here as well. You'll have a fun time. But there is one person that I have just seen recently on social media talking about don't come over to the United States to this World Cup. And that man is the former president of FIFA, Sepp Blatter. Now, I think it's very interesting that this man all of a sudden has a platform that he wants to use. And we're having some technical issues again. I thought I had that fixed. Let's see. I think maybe we got it fixed here. Sorry about that. But anyway, hopefully we don't lose the camera again. But as I was saying, this man that was once the president of FIFA, this man who was absolutely disgraced after what happened in the Bar-a-Lac Hotel in Zurich, Switzerland, for the FIFA Congress that was going on. And of course, if you have the HBO Max app and you go to the sports department of that app and to watch when the men who sold the World Cup, the documentation of all of the negative things that happened, all the underhanded things, the bribes, the amounts of money being passed around, and for all of those people that were disgraced. Now, we're having some technical issues again. And there we go. All right, so hopefully that's put an end to it. And hopefully we won't have another outburst like that. But let me just say once again, the amount of corruption that FIFA had under Sepp Blatter, and he knew what was going on. Granted, maybe none of it was traced to him, but he was aware of what was going on. He watched the whole thing go down. He saw everything and anything. And yet he decides to use the social media platform to talk about not coming to the United States or to North America for this World Cup. That man has no scruples. His word means nothing. And he is an absolute disgrace to the world's game, the world's favorite game. Sepp Blatter, in my opinion, has no right to say a word. Nothing. No right. Nothing to say about this. It is an absolute joke. That man had to say a word about the upcoming World Cup, that people should be boycotting it. No, you do not have the audacity to tell us that if you should boycott this World Cup because of what's been going on. You're upset. You got caught. You're upset that the FBI in the United States found a way to take down your entire operation. From the former president of the Confederation of CONCACAF in Chuck Blazer, the former FIFA vice president, so many others involved within CONCACAF, within Africa and Asia. I mean, and you oversaw this whole damn thing. You oversaw the entire thing, Mr. Blatter, and unfortunately, we should not trust you. We should not trust you. We should not believe in you. We should not even think about you right now. You shouldn't even be saying a word. And yet you have the audacity to say something? I'm sorry. I'm very, very sorry. I just find it hilarious that you think that You have the right to say something, and you say fans should stay away from the United States during the 2026 World Cup. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. You, sir, are a disgrace. All you've done is allowed the money to funnel in. Take. And all I can tell you is this, is that when all of this is going on and you think you have the right words to say about what all this situation is about, you think you have the right to tell us your opinions, your thoughts. Your opinion does not mean diddly squat. So let me just say this to you right now, Mr. Blatter. You can claim to tell everyone not to come here. You can claim anything you want. But I'm sorry. Everybody's coming here. Everybody is coming here. They're coming to the United States. They're coming to Canada. They're coming to Mexico. Everywhere from around the world. South America, within CONCACAF, Asia, Africa, Europe, Oceania. Everyone is coming here. And everyone is going to have a fun time. Everyone is going to have fun. Everyone is going to enjoy themselves. And everyone is going to make sure that they will be enjoying themselves all summer long. Let me see here. We're having some difficulties again with the camera. Don't understand why, but we are. So hang on tight, ladies and gentlemen, as we are going to go straight over to we're having some technical difficulties with the camera right now once again. So here's what I'm going to do. I am going to go ahead and play. But I'm going to go ahead and play my first segment, and that is the interview that I had. If you can hear me, I'm going to be playing the interview with Dr. David Kilpatrick, your Cosmos historian, as he talks about the untimely passing of the former owner of the New York Cosmos, and now, of course, the former owner of the AC Fiorentina, and that ACF Fiorentina, and that is Mr. Rocco B. Commisso. So here we go right now. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the American Soccer Show here, the Feuerstein's Fire American Soccer Show. Today, of course, we're here to talk about a man that did a lot for New York City soccer, was part of the, not the original second coming of the Cosmos, but he took it over at that time. And, of course, we're talking about former owner Rocco Commisso. Of course, he was a guest on my show on blogtalkradio.com more than once. And, of course, to talk about Rocco is the New York Cosmos historian, the one and only Dr. David Kilpatrick from, of course, Mercy University over in Dobbs Ferry, New York. David, as always, I appreciate your time. talking about Cosmos history and everything else. How are you, and what's going on with you in the new year?
I'm doing well, Daniel. It's great to speak with you again. It's been a little while since I've been on the show, but it's nice to be back on. Just getting really geared up for the new season, playing in USL. It's going to be great to see the Cosmos back on the pitch. So the home opener is in March at Hinchliffe Stadium, and hopefully a lot of your listeners will be there on the 14th in Paterson, New Jersey, to see things kick off.
Isn't it amazing, David, how history repeats itself with this club? They started out on Randall's Island at the old Downing Stadium, which is now Econ Stadium. Of course, they tore it down for the Econ Stadium. Then they go to Yankee Stadium, and then they go to New Jersey at the new Meadowlands Sports Complex to be, of course, at the former Giant Stadium. And then coming back, they start off on Long Island. Then they go to Brooklyn, to where the Brooklyn Cyclones minor league ballpark is. And now they're back again, and they're going back to New Jersey over in Paterson. It's just amazing how history repeats itself.
Yeah, it's funny. There's that term, the Phoenix Club, and in some ways it applies because it seems like we keep rising from the ashes. But in other ways it doesn't, because there has been continuity in terms of the transfer of ownership back since 1971 when the club first took the pitch. So, it's also, I think, a testament to the value and the legacy of the club, that it just won't die, that even if some would like for the Cosmos to be killed off or consigned to the scrap heap of American soccer clubs who didn't quite make it, I think there's just something so special about the Cosmos, and we both grew up with it, right? So we know what the Cosmos country phenomenon was like at its real peak in the late 70s, early 80s, and it was a magic time. It was really magic, and those players, their stories, those teams, the championships they won, they are something so meaningful to so many people, not just in the New York, New Jersey area, but worldwide. But I think when most people around the world think about American soccer, one of the first things, if not the first thing they think of, would be the Cosmos. And so it's good timing, I think, as we look to host the World Cup and the World Cup final right in the heart of Cosmos country, that the Cosmos will be back on the pitch. So, history repeats itself, or, like the badge, sort of simulates a record going around on the Atlantic Records turntable. It just keeps spinning.
It really does. Unfortunately, of course, Rocco Commisso passed away when he took it over for Seamus, and also moved the club out of Hofstra to go to Brooklyn, where the Cyclones are. I think it's now called if I can pronounce it correctly, Maimonides Park. I've had Rocco on my show more than once. You can tell the man's passion, not just for the sport, but the passion he had for the club. I know him and his family are owning Fiorentina in Italy's Serie A, and everything he's done for that club, of course, building a brand new training facility and everything. But what did this man mean to yourself, Cosmos country, and of course everyone that used to play for the Cosmos, to continue on the legacy of the club?
Well, quite frankly, Rocco Commisso saved the club when he became chairman in January 2017. Right? He acquired majority ownership from the group that was headed by Seamus O'Brien, and Cosmos were really in a desperate state, as was the rest of the North American Soccer League. But it seemed, and again, I don't want to necessarily, dive into the specifics of the situation there in 2017, and then what happened in 2018 in terms of the fate of the league. I think it's pretty well documented, and you certainly covered it a lot at the time. Yeah, Rocco was a guest here a few times, and you know how outspoken he could be, and you used the word a couple times already, passionate, and I think that's a really great way, a great word to think of. It comes to mind right away. in terms of Rocco. But it's no secret, this has been out there, in terms of legal documents and things like that, that there were people looking to acquire what was left of the Cosmos at the end of the 2016 season to essentially eliminate the threat to hegemony. And Cosmos, it's kind of paradoxical, I suppose, historically, for the Goliath of the 70s and 80s to be the David in the battle years later, right? But I think Cosmos represents something authentic. And Rocco, of course, he played for the Columbia Lions, was a real standout, all Ivy League player for the Columbia Lions, and he played there from 67 to 1970, right? So he crossed paths with a lot of the Cosmos, right? His teammate Len Rennery was a lifelong friend, and so Len played for the Cosmos and played for Columbia, and they were really close friends all the way through. And Cosmos meant something to Rocco, and the thought of the most storied name in American soccer being eliminated was something that appalled him, and he saw it, I think, as an opportunity to really do something meaningful. A lot of people don't know this, but he first, beyond playing for the Columbia Lions, he was actually a youth soccer coach in New Rochelle, and he had the B team to Chuck Blazer's A team. Wow. And one time the B team beat the A team, and things didn't go all that well. But again, not going too much down that rabbit hole, but he saw how how the game's governance was flawed early on as a volunteer soccer coach in the Westchester Youth Soccer League. Right. So, he spent some time in New Rochelle, Dobbs Ferry, where I live. And so he knew the New York soccer scene intimately. And of course, Calcio is his real passion. And he really felt very strongly that soccer had given him so much in his life. If it wasn't for soccer, he wouldn't have been able to attend Columbia. And if he wasn't able to attend Columbia, he wouldn't have been able to achieve so much. And he's one of the most distinguished, if not the most successful alum in the history of Columbia University. And that is really saying something, isn't it?
It really is.
He was a passionate man, and he cared about the Cosmos, and he took custodianship of the club extremely seriously. And he was very careful with what he did with the Cosmos. And, as he entered my life around that time, quite frankly, I really bonded with him very quickly. I cared for him very, very much. We were really close for a while there. My wife and my son and my daughter would even sit in in the owner's box at Coney Island with he and his wife through several games. So we got really close. And the last time I spoke with Rocco, actually, I thought he was in the New York, New Jersey area, but I had read something in an Italian newspaper, and perhaps my Italian's not so good, but I was a bit upset by what he'd said and maybe some of the implications I thought for the future of the Cosmos. So I gave him a ring, and he answered the phone. He's like, David, it's 1:30 here in Italy. I'm in Italy, but you woke me up, but what's up? And we spoke, and he understood, and he could have hung up on me. He could have said, oh, you better take some more classes in Italian or whatever he could have said, but he wasn't dismissive, and he was really caring, and he listened and understood where I was coming from. And he really cared about this club. And as he became owner of Fiorentina, I mean, in many ways, I mean, when you think about that, it really kind of puts him in line with the Medici in terms of being patrons of the arts in that great, great Renaissance city. And I think, if anyone who's ever spent any time at Mediacom headquarters knows what an incredible empire he built up with the business. And it was a really neat place to be, and the cafeteria there, the great food, and the incredible state-of-the-art offices there, and the technology they supply, and the mission they provide information to these rural communities. Mediacom is a tremendous company. in and of itself. But he didn't just exist to make money for himself and his associates, right? He invested in the beautiful game, and he really, quite frankly, put his money where his mouth was. So I think you could make the case that no one has made more of a financial sacrifice for the benefit of American soccer than Rocco Commisso. When you think about the investments he made, both here and in his native Italy, but here in terms of the United States, right? He maybe dismissed as quixotic, but anybody who's a football romantic has to appreciate what Rocco has done for what he felt to be best for the beautiful game here in the United States. And if we're ever to achieve that mission of soccer becoming the preeminent sport in the United States, it's going to be thanks to the people like Rocco, which is a very rare company, who are really willing to invest without any expectation of return, but really making sacrifices for what they love. And he loved our game.
He really did. Not just our game here, of course, his game over in Italy, being the Italian that he is. Of course, I'll never forget watching the 60 Minutes segment with him and, immigrating to New York, living in the Bronx. Of course, I'm from the Bronx too. I think he lived near Nerid Ave by the 2 and the 5. I was over by the D and the 4 on the Grand Concourse. And just to see that, it made me feel proud as a Bronxite myself to see this man, of course, doing so well for himself, not just in the borough that I was born in, but, just to make myself feel like, this man achieved something great. And hopefully the Bronx Hall of Fame will dedicate one of the streets in his neighborhood for his name to, for posterity, just like former athletes, former people like Bob Kane and Bill Finger, who drew Batman and the Joker from the Poe Park and Fordham Road and over there. So, for DC Comics, of course. So, that's my hope for Rocco, that he gets honored from the Bronx Historical Society and the Bronx Hall of Fame for that. I hope one day.
Yeah, he was born in Calabria, but he was raised in the Bronx, and anyone who has his voice in their head knows what a boy from the Bronx he always was. Ivy Leaguer and billionaire that he became, right? He never really left the Bronx in that way. He was a lot of fun to be with. Like one memory stands out to me when he had first bought the club, and there was going to be an alumni dinner, Cosmos alumni dinner. All the legends from the 70s and the 80s were gathering in town at Scaletta's, the restaurant that used to be owned by Fred Gergerev. Such a hot spot for American soccer history, he was meeting these players for the first time, except for Lynn Rennery, who was there too. But the way in which he engaged those alumni, and the sense of custodianship that he felt for the club, that someone had to save the club to save their story, and the respect that he showed to them, the care in which he showed to the club, right? And it wasn't easy. But that night in particular, I've been thinking about an awful lot since last week when I heard the news late Friday night. I was at the United Soccer Coaches Convention in Philadelphia, a huge gathering. There were several Cosmos alums there, and we had a Society for American Soccer History meeting and stuff. And always great to connect with everybody there. But the timing was really powerful in terms of the people that I was spending time with. And boom, go back to the room, and I got the message from MediaCom right away that he had passed, and been thinking so much about him with tremendous fondness and great appreciation. And I agree with you. We need to make sure that his place in American soccer history, American sport history, New York sport history, is secured. Absolutely.
Yep, I absolutely agree with that as well. David, as always, I appreciate your time. I know you're very busy teaching those students everything at Mercy University and, of course, teaching everyone about this great game of ours, no matter where you are in the United States or over in Europe. I know you love to frequently fly across the Atlantic over to England and Scotland, so hopefully you'll have another great trip over there. But as always, I appreciate your time, and thank you very much, David. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, Daniel. Thank you.
And that was David Kilpatrick. Just give me one moment here, folks. All right. So I have to keep this on like this for now. I'm on here. I had to open another window. I'm a little nervous now. I don't want to get rid of the old one. But I'm the one that has the echo, not you guys. But it's just had that little problem with the camera. But I'm here now for the other window that I opened up. So we'll keep on going. But real quick, this segment is sponsored by Dino Lezzi Energy Drink. So let me tell you about Dino Lezzi Energy Drink when I need that extra kick to power through match analysis and late night transfer rumors. There's only one drink that delivers authentic Italian energy, and that's Dino Lezzi. Crafted in Italy with the same passion I bring to this show, because real energy comes from real ingredients, just like real soccer talk comes from real insiders. So there you have it on that one. And as now we're going to wait for my next guest, and that is the one and only Colin Udoh. Of course, he covers African soccer. And we're just waiting for him to come on so he can talk to us. And hopefully he'll be ready to join us to talk about his thoughts about what happened over in Morocco in the final. And once again, maybe he'll be busy. You never know. There's usually stories are popping up all over the place for him and probably getting stuff as we understand it. Very busy man when it comes around this time of year. Owns anything and anything African football. But, once again, what we saw in the African Cup of Nations in that final was a travesty. Now, of course, since then, the players from Morocco, they've apologized to the fans of African football for what happened with all the Towelgate. And, of course, the apologizing to the Senegal players on the national team that did perform in that final. And as I've already said, Senegal also deserves blame for leaving the pitch during the penalty call. And like I said, look, that reversal from VAR was the right thing because it was a no call when there was a foul inside the area of Senegal. And when you're seeing these players complaining, which I don't blame them for complaining because of some of the things that have gone against them by this referee. And, when you listen to other, sports radio shows or online shows, whether they come from ESPN, they come from Fox Sports, they come from CBS Sports, or even when you are listening or watching all these radio shows simulcast on TV, like Fox Sport, like the BBC Sport in England, and you find out that when the last African Cup of Nations was played in the Ivory Coast, or when the Ivory Coast won their Cup of Nations tournament. The refereeing was unbelievable, but then all of a sudden, someone in CAF fired that man to take out the referee. The man that was observing all referees within the Confederation of Africa. And now we're getting referees in CAF again that are suspect. And if you have referees that are suspect within the Confederation, then what are we doing here? Don't we want referees not only to follow the laws of the game, but to have the common sense to go out there and perform at the best of their abilities? Where was the referee preventing the towel game? Where were the assistant referees, whichever side they were on, where the Senegal keeper in the first half was on the left side of that pitch to get those ball boys, to get those players to stop interfering with the towels. And, of course, from Alejandro Moreno, who he said those ball boys did not have the idea to grab the towel. They were told to do it by the Moroccan players. And then we see on social media the actual video of the Moroccan players telling the Moroccan ball boys, take the towel away from the goalkeeper. I bet that even stewards got that message too. The actual audacity from Morocco to do that was just absolutely asinine, and it's wrong. Now, once again, Senegal deserves blame for leaving the pitch and abandoning, Morocco's penalty kick attempt. And good for Sadio Mane to get his team to get back out there and perform. Because that wasn't right. Both sides were at fault. So until this situation is finally adjudicated, not just by CAF, but also by FIFA, these things have to change. You cannot have these types of shenanigans happen all the time. It's just a disgrace, an absolute disgrace to watch what was going on, to watch the situation happen here. And until this thing gets resolved quickly, it's going to happen again. Let me tell you, when you're watching in the past, CONCACAF Champions League, CONCACAF Champions Cup, whatever you want to call it, I don't know. Every single time a Liga MX club from Mexico would face another club, especially against MLS clubs from the U.S. or MLS clubs from Canada, and whenever the ball had to be thrown back in by a player from the MLS club, you see these players, whether it be from Club America, from Chivas Guadalajara, at the time it was Azul, or Ray, whoever it was. You're seeing these players running right up to the throw-in taker and leaping up to try to block the throw-in attempt. And you never see the referee intervene on that. You don't. And it really was frustrating to watch that happen. Now, granted, there was no contact with the ball on the throw-in, but that's poor sportsmanship. I don't care who it is. The referee has to go straight to those players and give a one and only warning. If this happens again, whether they make contact with the ball or not, I'm throwing out a yellow card to that player. And if another player, same player, does it again, I'm talking about the second time, then the yellow card comes out. But then there's a third time, If it's the same player or a different player, regardless who it is on the same team, throw out the red card and take them out and put them down to 10 men. That cannot happen. And the way the referees are in CONCACAF, we don't know what they're going to do. Will they ever, discipline a player for that sort of stuff? I don't care. I don't care if the player didn't make contact with the ball or interfered with the throw-in. Can't do that. You cannot do that. You cannot allow shenanigans like that to interrupt the flow of play. That is poor sportsmanship. That is gamesmanship at its worst. I hate it. I don't like it. And I really think it's time for them to understand cannot do stuff like that. So, yes, I understand that there is a rule in CAF that you cannot do that walking off the pitch in protest because they didn't like the call from the referee. They didn't like the VR intervened and reversed the non-call into a penalty. And that many people have felt Rocco should be handed the trophy. That's a final match, though. That's a championship final. I just don't understand what the heck is going on. And we'll have to wait and see what the ruling will be for CAF. Will Senegal get stripped or will they get the trophy? But, as much as Morocco wants to complain, Morocco is in the wrong too. Both teams are in the wrong, and that should not have happened. But what are you going to do? I really hope that CAF will learn from this. Once again, I feel Morocco deserves to be docked at least 6 to 9 points, depending on how many games they've done this. And when they're going to qualify for their next African Cup of Nations tournament, they should be already in the negative. They should have a -6 or a -9 points to start it off. That's how I feel. Senegal, they deserve to be docked as well. I believe they should be docked at least -3 points when they're going to start qualifying again for the next African Cup of Nations. Because what we saw was wrong, both sides, and both sides must pay. Now, if there's going to be a fine involved, I don't know what the fine will be. I don't know what the currency is for either country, or what CAF considers to be the amount to be equal to what is at Senegal, to what is in Morocco. But there should be a financial fine. I think there also should be certain players should also be suspended for a match or two in qualification for African Cup of Nations for the next one. Both sides. Both Morocco and Senegal. Someone's going to have to pay. Someone's going to have to pay. And it's going to be quick. But anyway, as we finish up here, and it looks like something, I guess Mr. Udoh is not available tonight. I guess something has come up. And, once again, very busy man. We'll find a way to get that taken care of. But anyway, all know the U.S. Open Cup, U.S. Soccer has already announced one, and I popped out there. Sorry about that. Once again, the Open Cup is out there for the first round, and and we're going to have some fun with it. So, again, it's going to be exciting. And we have articles written up for you to talk about. But I'll get that off there. Once again, U.S. Open Cup first round scheduled for Tuesday, March the 17th, Wednesday the 18th, and Thursday the 19th. And it's going to be exciting. It's going to be a lot of fun. And can't wait for that when we get to the Open Cup. Other than that, thank you for joining me tonight. I want to thank my guest tonight, Dr. David Kilpatrick, Cosmos historian, on the unfortunate passing of Cosmos and Fiorentina owner Rocco Commisso. Excuse me. My name is Daniel. Thank you very much for watching me tonight. I apologize for the technical difficulties of the camera once again. Hopefully we'll get that fixed and be a lot better for next week. But as always, please join me for the next episode of the Voice of Fire American Soccer Show. And as always, please enjoy your football. Thank you. Take care so long. And bye-bye for now. Good night, everybody.